This is Palio Clic. Now here I've got the plank, but it also comes in a tiled version. So this is a luxury vinyl tile like Karndean tiles. It's got all the same benefits, but it's a lot easier to lay than some. It doesn't need any adhesive. It's a click lock system, so if you've ever laid laminate floor, you'll be able to lay this. Now I'll just at this point show you how to cut this floor, because it's really very simple. Unlike using something like a laminate and MDF, you don't need to have a saw on site. So if you're working in flats, it's a fantastic thing, because all you're going to need really is your knife and your tape measure, and you can even use a bit of tile as a guide. Now when you're doing the first piece, it's a good idea to have any offcut no shorter than the width of the plank. Now I like to do about 300 millimeters as a starter to get me into the corner, and then I'm just going to do staggered joints. I'm not going to worry about trying to line them up. I think that doesn't look any better, but of course you do need to stagger your joints. If you've done flooring before, you'll know that if you want to get some stability in the floor, you're going to need that. So that piece goes into the wall. Our next complete piece goes into that. Now if your wall is straight, you won't need to worry about putting any spaces in at this point. We get 2 or 3 rows in, and then we put the spaces in for the expansion gap. So you can see what I'm doing. I won't do it in that corner, I do it here. We can slide it in afterwards. In fact, what I tend to do is make up the first couple of rows away from the wall, and then you can move them into place. So you always start with the tongue outwards, because it's a lot easier to join in if you've got the tongue out. Now you can see that what I have to do is a very simple little click, lock into place, that's in, and then move that over to the wall. And you need to leave that 5mm expansion along the edge, but as you can see with these skirtings, I could probably do it and just get away without putting a quadrant, but a lot of the time you want to put a little scotia round just to cover that expansion. But as I say, if you've done laminate, you'll know all about that. So when it comes to joining the full piece, always put your end piece in first. Now you'll notice that when you put that in, you've got a gap there. Don't worry about that gap at this point, just make sure that's locked in there. Then move up to the other end and engage your tongue into your groove there. And then you'll find that as you move back up here, you'll pick up not only this plank, but that preceding plank. And just at this point, just give it a, and when you hear that satisfying click sound, you know it's in. It's as simple as that. And I will just mention the fact that I'm using concave blades here. These aren't hook blades like you use for sheet vinyl, they're actually concave blades, but they work very nicely in cutting this flooring. Now at this point, it's worth just giving it a little tap, take an offcut. You won't find a tapping block for this flooring, but you don't need it. Use the offcut, just give it a little tap in, just to make sure that it's home. Now we've got 3 rows in, or the best part of 3 rows in, we need to pull it away from the wall, and then we're just going to put in our 5mm spaces along the edge. So the great thing about this flooring is that it's waterproof, unlike MDF backboards and things like that. Because this is made of vinyl, and you can see that joint is completely vinyl, when it goes into that tongue and groove and sits down, that makes a waterproof joint. And to prove it's waterproof, I'm going to put some water on it. So you can see I'm starting to get on with it now, and just a couple of little tips that I've learned. One is that if you're trying to bash it back against those spaces and the wall's a little bit spongy, a little bit springy, sometimes it rebounds on you. So what I tend to do is move around to this side at some point and then start bashing it in from the back, and I just find that helps. But also don't forget to give it a little tap every so often, every 3 rows or so. Just give it a tap and make sure it's nice and tight all the way along. So that's it, that's Palio Clic, and I'm pretty pleased with it actually. I mean, I'm not a floor layer, I'm sure there's people watching this who are better floor layers than I am, but I've managed to do the job, and as far as the customer's concerned, it's a luxury vinyl tile floor, so what's not to like? And the question a lot of people ask is it suitable for underfloor heating? And the answer is yes, so long as you put the temperature probe in there and you keep it around 27 degrees C or lower, you don't want to cook it, it'll be absolutely fine. So if you want to find out more about this product, you want to pick some up yourself, go to your local builders merchants.